All right, we're going in depth today on the warming weather and its impact on our air quality, specifically in many of northern Utah's valleys, because today's air quality, some state employees were required to work from home. We're going to take a look at the numbers for Salt Lake County right now, and what you're seeing are current conditions. And so it's ozone that we worry about in the summer. Ozone at, it's points per million is what we're talking about, 0.056 parts per million, pardon me. And that is moderately unhealthy, but it is predicted to get into an orange, which is just flat out unhealthy today. So we're joined now by the director of the Utah Division of Air Quality, Bryce Bird. And Bryce, it's so good to see you. I was stuttering my way through trying to explain things that you understand much better. So tell us, what does this mean? Simply, we were looking at, you know, the page we look at with the current conditions and then the forecast. What do those things mean?
So, of course, the current conditions are the current values that we're monitoring in the past hour at the monitor that's located along the Wasatch Front, but in particular, a particular monitor, usually either the Hawthorne monitor in downtown Salt Lake area or the Rose Park monitor in the west side of Salt Lake. Those are typically our highest monitors here in the valley, and they are reporting the current levels of ozone. And ozone is very fascinating to me as a scientist, but why it's important to everyone, it's a very strong oxidant, and can really damage our lungs at higher concentrations.
Help us understand that in as much of layman's terms as you can, because I always have to remind myself what that means. There's something, the stuff that we emit, and it can be from the tailpipe of our cars or from our gas appliances or gas-powered boats or lawnmowers or whatever. It can be from cow flatulence even, and that's an actual serious thing. But what do those do that make ozone?
So ozone is maybe more familiar, is just termed as summertime smog.
Yeah.
It's a pollutant that's formed photochemically, and that is that it's not directly emitted by any particular source, but the precursor emissions of oxides of nitrogen that come from combustion, and volatile organic compounds that can come from a number of things, from restaurants, paints, solvents, gasoline vapors. Those concentrate during our high pressure systems that we see here in the valley. They concentrate and build up, and then it's the sunlight that actually photochemically converts those from the precursors into the actual ozone pollution.
So when we're
focusing on is
we're working on something like painting something, or we're in a garage or something like that, you smell chemicals, and smell is stuff in the air, and when it's hot or when the sun is shining fiercely, that reacts with those things and creates ozone then, huh?
Exactly. So anything that starts out wet and then evaporates, has that strong chemical odor, those are the things that we're focusing on. Okay,
so what do we do? How do we fix it?
So emit less of that. We can't do much about the clear sunny skies that drive this formation. Of course, the hot temperatures, we're seeing those maybe unseasonably hot temperatures right now. Can't do much about that, at least locally in the short term. But what we can do is remove the precursors. And so we focus on driving less. And so automobiles give off both precursors when we drive, and of course when we refuel our yard equipment, lawnmowers, things like that. Those are also large sources of these precursors. And so we can take small steps to be aware of what the conditions are, and then focus on removing the precursors, or those other pollutants that are there to be able to form the ground level ozone during our afternoon peak hours.
And that's really important, isn't it? Afternoon peak hours.
Yeah, since it's driven by sunlight, the actual formation, we see the concentrations low in the morning, and then as the sun rises and of course the solar intensity increases, that's when we see the actual formation, that conversion of the precursors into the actual ozone.
Okay.
So right now we're in the moderate range, but we will be continuing to climb throughout the afternoon. Usually 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock is when we see those afternoon peaks. And we are anticipating, with the current temperatures and weather conditions, that we will exceed the ozone standard, and that's where it would be unhealthy for sensitive groups, or orange air quality, if you're familiar with the air quality index.
What's a sensitive group? Who's in the sensitive group?
Really, that's all of us at some point in our lives. It's the children, it's the elderly, and then anyone with a compromised respiratory system.
Okay, so the
so
afternoon, this afternoon's not the day to take the kids to the park necessarily. If you're, and we're talking
that's
about
correct.
Right now, Salt Lake County and Utah County are the ones that are predicted to get there.
Correct, and really, yeah, focusing on not exercising. When we exercise, of course, we bring more of the air pollution into our lungs than we do when we're just walking around or more sedentary. So really, we can exercise in the morning when the conditions are, or the levels are low. We can exercise late in the evening when the sun's down and the levels are low, but really we shouldn't focus on that heavy exertion outdoors during that peak intensity. And not only for the air pollution, of course, there's also the solar intensity as well. So it's hotter during that time, and sunburns and things like that are higher at that time as well. So for a number of reasons, we should move our exercise to the morning.
I think we're pretty much completely out of time, but I do want to, my understanding is that ozone, it comes and goes with the day, and so because of that reaction, and so it really is the case. It's not like particulates where they're going to stay in the air unless the wind blows them away. It's ozone is if it's morning and the sun's not out, it's not really a problem.
That's correct. And when it's cloudy, we also see the ozone formation diminish.
Right.
Just encourage people to go to air.utah.gov or the Utah Air app to find out what those current conditions are. And of course, take action to reduce driving, reduce the emissions of volatile organic compounds or those paints and solvents, and help us all breathe a little better during this time. Okay,
Bryce Bird, Director of the Utah Division of Air Quality. You've helped all the Live at Noon viewers and myself pass Ozone 101. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.